Hey, welcome to another edition of Golf Business Live. Your host, Michael Williams, bringing you that which is important to you about this game and business that we love called golf. We have a great show for you today. House chat, as usual, is going to be awesome. Before we do that, we're going to talk about advocacy. NGCOA does a fantastic job in advocating for the golf industry, to local government, to federal government. There's so many issues pertaining to everything from water rights to credit cards that affect your business on a daily basis. And at NGCOA, they are on top of it. Joining me now is the man who leads that effort. He's the Senior Director of Advocacy for the NGCOA. Please welcome Ronnie Miles to the show. Ronnie, how are you, brother?
Very good, Michael. Nice to be with you today.
You know what? And stay out of my business, because with that voice, I consider you direct competition. Okay. So
okay, well,
stay away from the microphone, my friend. Good to see you.
You too.
Hey, look, we just had, we're talking about advocacy. And from that, I think one of the big days on the advocacy calendar is, of course, National Golf Day, which was recently held here in Washington, D.C. Talk a little bit about, first, introducing folks to what National Golf Day is, for those who may not know, and what the issues and accomplishments were for the National Golf Day this year.
Sure. Well, the National Golf Day was started on the World Golf Foundation a number of years ago. I think this was year 14. And we had this year, we had over 220 participants in the program. It was virtual. Again, we were hoping in 23 we'll be back to in-person meetings. This year, there were over 200 meetings held. For NGCOA, we had about 32 members, 32 owners and operators who participated from our organization, representing 13 states. So we're very pleased with that. It's about the same numbers we've had in the past, but we're always looking forward to getting our owners engaged in our advocacy efforts. This year, there were basically three key issues that we presented before Congress. It's an opportunity for us to take our issues to the Hill and let our representatives understand and know the impact of the bills and legislations that they are proposing or trying to pass. And so this year there were three issues that we brought forth, and one was on the pesticide program. It had to do with a bill called Protect America's Children from Toxic Pesticides Act. The second was the FIT Act, and the third one, a labor issue having to do with H-2B returning worker exemption. So the first one, to Protect American Children from Toxic Pesticides Act, our alliance, the alliance that powered the National Golf Day, which has representatives from all the allied associations for golf, were there and present. And collectively, we presented our position as opposing this bill. We felt like this bill goes really not far enough. I mean, it kind of supersedes some of the laws that's currently in place under the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Acts. It's already in place. There are laws on the books. There's labels on our chemicals, and our superintendents know how to apply them. But what this bill does, it gives local authority the ability to override state authority in preventing pesticide usage in their communities. And even without any science-based fact, it just, if its public opinion feels like they shouldn't be doing it, they can, in fact, the community can, in fact, do it. So we were against this bill. We think it goes too far. It does not use a science-based approach, and we're hopeful that, fortunately, at this point, it doesn't seem to be getting any traction. But that doesn't mean it won't happen. Can get energy from some way. So we kind of keep monitoring this one. The second one was the FIT Act. And the FIT Act is something that we have been pushing for a number of years. And it's hard sometimes to get things in, but we were continually pushing. And the FIT Act,
let's give people what that is, because that's an acronym, PHIT. What does that stand for?
FIT Act is the Personal Health Investment Today Act. It's a bill that allows individuals and families to contribute to their FSAs or HSAs up to $1,000 for individuals, $2,000 for a family, that goes into their health savings accounts. And those monies can be used for their family members to participate in active sports, active activities, whether it be youth sports, whether it be adult physical fitness activities, and of course, golf. So the program allows individuals, for purposes for golf, individuals can use it to help offset costs of green fees, range usage fees, golf lessons, even attire, shoe wear, for golf shoe wear, not street shoe wear, but golf shoe wear. These funds can be used for that to offset the cost of those. So it's really about making recreation affordable and getting people active. The health savings accounts to date they're about medical savings accounts that when you're sick, you use it to get better. We believe that the FIT Act is one that promotes fitness, it promotes health, and promotes prevention. And so we are continuing to push this one, and hopefully we'll find a way to get it inserted in some other, the Department of Health and Human Services appropriations bill or other instruments that can help get this passed so it can become law. So make it part of the health savings accounts.
Yeah, I understand a little bit about Washington, being from here, and usually the idea is to get something attached to larger bills that have bipartisan support, especially in what is pretty much a partisan federal government. There's no secrets about that.
Yeah, and this bill has good bipartisan support. Right now, we have 60 members of the House and 17 members of the Senate have co-sponsored it. So it's getting great support. It's just really trying to find the right vehicle and get it in the position so that we can get a vote on it.
Outstanding. And I know that there's some other issues that relate to water that you're working on as well. Were those addressed during National Golf Day?
No, we didn't. This year, we didn't address the water issue. Obviously, it's not part of the legislative process. It's part of the regulatory process, and that's WOTUS, the Waters of the U.S. And that is something that our allied association, have been working and taking steps to participate in that. As many of our listeners know, WOTUS has gone through a lot of different evolutions and changes. And in 2016, the new water rule was written, and the Supreme Court determined that this rule was overreaching. It went too far, and so they threw it out. And so the EPA and the Corps of Engineers had to start over and write a new rule. Well, the new rule was written and published and released and approved in 2020. And now with the new administration on board, different administration, different ideologies, they've decided they rescinded the 2020 rule and they have proposed to put a new rule in place. And what we're concerned about is their new rule, it would try to take some of the same steps that they did in 2016, and to make sure that that states' water rights are in place, remain, and also to understand define clearly what is a navigable waters, federal navigable waters. So those are the things we're watching. We have submitted our letter to both the director of EPA and the Corps of Engineers. And so hopefully when their new rule comes out for review and comments, we will read right on it and let them know what we think about their proposed rule.
Outstanding. And I just want to jump back to National Golf Day and some of the issues that you addressed there. I had assumed that the water thing was a part of that. And I'll come back to that very important distinction that you just made about legislative versus regulatory. We'll come back to that. Okay. How would you summarize the issues and the effectiveness of National Golf Day this year?
Well, I mean, sometimes what you get back, the feedback we've received from the participants was very, very positive. Mm-hmm. We have, even up to last week, we got some emails where some of our members reported their representatives have now co-sponsored and signed on to the FIT Act or signed on to the H-2B bill. So again, we have gotten some active steps. So it's been very, very positive for what we've been able to take away from the 2022 National Golf Day.
It's an amazing effort, because I remember when it got started, which was when a member of Congress took the floor and said that golf should not benefit from Katrina benefits from the federal government, and lumped it into a group of businesses that included brothels, gun shops, liquor stores, and one other thing, and golf courses. Yeah. And I think that's what created the crisis of confidence that led to
that's a good point, because we're still an issue that our leadership took above our other participants of National Golf Day. The leaders of the allied associations, the CEOs, had special meetings with senators and representatives from administration, and to talk about some of those issues. And one of those was the sin tax. With the sin list, the golf industry continues to be on that sin list, the list of businesses you just talked about that's ineligible to participate in any federal funded incentive programs, tax-based incentive programs following disasters. And obviously we're now moving into the disaster season. So again, we hope we don't have to encounter, our communities don't have to encounter the kind of destruction that would cause these tax incentives to be demanded, but hopefully if we do that golf will be invited and be able to participate just like any other business. So we continue to fight that battle, and that's on the sin list.
Indeed, fighting the good fight as far as that's concerned. Let's talk about some of the regulatory things. Other than water, are there other regulatory issues that you're facing and working on right now? Nothing larger than WOTUS. Obviously, when you get outside of the federal government, you do have the state and some of the regulatory issues in the state having to do with chemicals. And so a lot of the states are facing, as I talked about earlier about the FIFRA, a lot of states are addressing the chemicals, pesticides and herbicides in their communities. So we're monitoring those to see how those rules and regulations would impact our industry within those communities. So again, the states have the rights to implement laws and regulations themselves. And so we're constantly monitoring those, because that's probably the most impacting is the number of regulations that's being drafted out there that will impact golf, not just golf, anyone in the landscape business. So yeah, we're very concerned about those and watching those very closely. Yeah, I would imagine. Ronnie, you recently sent out an advocacy alert for NGCOA members about Congress holding a hearing on credit card fees. I know that's a critical one for the organization. Talk to me a little bit about that and what Congress is saying.
Yeah, well, the credit card fee issues has been a problem for not just the golf industry, entire business industry for a number of years. And we have published a number of pieces on the credit card fee program, primarily having to do with the merchant processors. This problem that brought up and was part of this hearing has nothing to do with the merchant processors. It has to do with the banks, and it had to do with the establishment of the transaction fees that have just been increased in April. These fees were proposed in 2020, but the industry, the banks had decided to postpone implementation of these new fees, these new rates until after the pandemic. And then they did so on April 15th, raise those rates. And so the hearings was about, one, having the banks and the credit card industry define or kind of clarify why these fees were necessary. And the other was to really address how the industry is. There's no competition for the credit card banking industry. So transaction fees are managed by the big banks, and it's managed by Visa and MasterCard, American Express. All of these credit card handlers market their products, but there's lack of competition when it comes to who is banking this, who is handling the transactions. And so the hearings was to listen to how this can be improved. And the other was on transparency, making sure that when these contracts are in place with the merchants, that their policies are clear and they're simple to understand, simple to read. A lot of people don't realize that the credit card fees are all over the place in terms of pricing strategies. For example, since the pandemic, more and more people are using credit cards online than ever before. Well, those credit card transactions are what's called no card present status. And as such, they will pay a higher fee. So when online credit card transactions are made, the merchant is paying a much higher fee to handle that transaction than they would if the client walked in the door, slid their card in their machine, and processed it. So we're trying to understand how It's to understand how to be more transparent to our consumer as well as the merchant, how they can manage these costs.
It's interesting that when you're fighting that battle for golf, you're actually fighting that battle, as you said, for business at large and the public at large. These are issues that affect everybody, not just golf course owners or operators. Another issue that's like that is the issue of the labor market. I mean, we have one of the most difficult labor markets that we've ever had. That's an issue for every business. It's an issue for every consumer. As a customer service gets affected. Talk to me, Ronnie, about are there any legislative or regulatory issues that sort of dovetail with how to handle or how to manage that really difficult labor market that we're facing right now?
Well, to some degree, I think probably the only piece of legislation that really can have the greatest and the most impactful effect would be the H-2B worker exemption, visa exemption program. The H-2B worker is a non-immigrant worker program that brings in individuals from outside the U.S. to work temporary summertime, mostly seasonal businesses. They come on this visa, they go home, and then they come back the next year. And so back and forth. In the past, we generally, for the last 5 years or 6 years, we have had basically an annual allotment of 66,000 visas. And these 66,000 are generally the same people come back and forth to the States to work every year. And these are what we call returning workers. But these returning workers are counted against the total visas Congress has allowed during their appropriations bill. So if this bill passes, what it would do is to exempt that 66,000 returning workers from the annual allotment. In essence, would allow us, the industry would see up to 133,000 H-2B workers in the space, in the industry, in the U.S. So that would be a big push, a big plus for our employers. Now, again, only about 15% of the golf industry use H-2B workers. Resorts and golf communities within resort communities, if you will, are big users, are primary users of H-2B workers, but they depend very heavily on them. And this is a workforce of help. Other than that, I think what we're looking at the federal and the state level are probably legislative or regulatory issues that make it more challenging in the hiring the right people in the workforce, because you have a lot of states are pushing, again, minimum wage. They're pushing expanded benefits. These are all good, but they're trying to make one size fits all. We know that the market forces are going to drive wages and benefits. You know, if you're going to hire a good employee, you're going to have to make sure you're paying better than the guy down the street. You know, so we understand market forces is a tremendous force when it comes to workers' wages and benefits.
Okay.
Today, with the situation we have with the lack of workers, it's even more important. We're seeing those wages get up there. So again, legislative wise, I don't see anything beyond H-2B that's going to benefit the problem. And, you know, there's going to be some influences going to negatively affect that. We've got to manage those. We've got to be in front of that and make sure that our representatives understand the impact of the decisions they may make either at the state or at the federal level. You know, as far as the access to skilled workers, you know, it does require competitive wages. You know, we need to look at our local communities, need to look at our local colleges, universities, trade schools, to market our business as a quality place to work. But more importantly, what we need to do is create an environment for advancement, a better work-life balance, and of course, money will be there. And we got to make sure that our people are paid competitively.
Oh, I concur. And you touched on some of the issues that we've touched on here on this very program about those very things. I think you're on target on that one. Well, when you look at just these few issues, we just got a couple of minutes left here, Ronnie, with you. You know, these are just a few of the issues that you're working on. You've touched on these. And then when you talk about addressing these and other issues at the federal, at the state, local, municipal level on down, it gets so granular. What can our owners and managers do at their local level to be involved in that advocacy process, to keep themselves not only informed, but to engage in that process wherever possible?
Well, I think, it's a good question, but I believe this, it's really quite simple. We encourage all of our people in our industry, whether it be owners, operators, frontline employees, superintendents, PGA professionals, all of those, to get to know their local representatives in their communities, because your city council person today may be your senator later. The relationships you build now, and getting them into your business to understand your business, so that when they're in a position to affect change, that they will understand the impact that change would have on your business.
Get those folks out for a round of golf. That sounds like to me.
Absolutely.
It sounds good. And with that, I look forward to getting down and getting in a round of golf with you, my friend, because I reckon that even if I do lose a little money to you, I'll probably end up 100% smarter than when I went in on these issues. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to it, Michael.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, Ronnie, for spending the time.
Thank you.
These issues are critical. These are the things that affect, as we said, not only the golf business, but everybody's business on a day-to-day basis. And I think it's important to know about the issues, to be engaged, to be involved. And really, it's one of those reasons that it's essential to be a member of NGCOA, to get the benefit of the intelligence and expertise of a guy like Ronnie, that last guest. Hey, stay with us. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with House Chat. I love it. I know you will too. Stay right with us. We'll be right back. Golf Business Live, Michael Williams. Welcome back to Golf Business Live. Your host, Michael Williams. And I've had the opportunity to speak to a number of golf course owners, golf course operators, managers, what have you, especially since this pandemic period, about the challenges involved with keeping quality people in place at our operations. It's something that everybody is facing, no matter what your industry is, but it seems to be especially difficult somehow with the golf operations industry. And I think that statistics show that the hardest place to hire and retain is in food and beverage, food service, and hospitality. It really is a challenge, and one that has to be met, because we have a growing population of golfers that are coming to the golf courses, and a smaller population trying to serve them with the maximum experience, the best experience possible, so that we retain these people after it's safe to go back into the malls and everything. Joining me now is a group of people who are facing those challenges on a daily basis and answering them, knocking down those challenges. I'm really pleased to join me today. We have Whitney Pennell, who is the founder and president of RCS Hospitality Group. We have Lynne, who's the owner of Scenic Hills Golf Club in Pensacola, Florida, and Rohauer, who is the director of operations right here in my home county of Montgomery County, Maryland. Good to see you all. And gentlemen, if you don't mind, I'm going to start with Whitney and answer a few questions, get ourselves some sort of a basis for this conversation, and then we'll bring the fellas back in. Whitney, thank you so much for joining us here today on Golf Business Live.
Thank you, Michael. I'm happy to be here.
So, as I was saying, the industry has been challenged, specifically by the pandemic, the Great Resignation, I think, is a term that we've all heard, that sort of thing. I guess what I'd like to do at the top is have you talk a little bit about RCS Hospitality, what your company does, and how your mission as a company fits in with solving these challenges for golf course owners.
Sure. Well, as a company, we try to focus on anything that touches the customer experience and, by extension, the employee experience. So we focus on strategic planning, executive recruiting, operations consulting, and probably our biggest impact today, and it's been my passion since I started the business over 20 years ago, is training and development. So one of the things that we do on-site training, and we were just getting too much demand for our on-site training. And what we were seeing was, with seasonal hires and increase in turnover, the National Restaurant Association tracks turnover. And I would say about 5 years or so ago, it was around 65, 67%. Pre-COVID, it was up to 72% for restaurants as an industry. So when we saw that number climbing, and we're talking with our customers in the golf industry, we thought we needed to do something better. So we got into virtual training, I believe in 2017, and we're trying to focus on hospitality overall, but really focused in on clubs because we have a strong background in club management. Mm-hmm. And really the hope was that we would be able to create something that busy managers, owners, and operators could use throughout that seasonal training and onboarding, and also to keep up with the turnover because they have so many other things to do. And if you're short staffed, the last thing you have time to do is actually train and onboard staff. So the virtual training allows them to have consistent, repetitive messaging of training. And it doesn't matter if their training manager leaves or if they have new people come in, because they can always use the training. And it's as easy to use as putting someone with a computer or any mobile device. They can track and monitor their results, what they're doing. It's an interactive program, so it doesn't feel like someone's just reading a PowerPoint to you. Mm-hmm. And we try to bring our on-site training to life on screen so that it's fun, it's engaging, and it's helpful, so that when the employees then get to the managers, they can focus on their own service details. But we cover what I would say is a little bit of blocking and tackling for hospitality, customer service, being a good teammate, communication, all of those things.
Interesting. And can you, well, let's say this, again, there's one problem that comes with recruiting people and getting them in the door. Then once you get them in the door, to make them effective employees and then to keep them effective during the lifespan. That seems to me sort of that life cycle of the employee, that track there. Where do you make the most impact, in the recruitment part, in the improvement part, or retention, do you think?
I think they all go hand in hand, Michael, to be honest. We've been doing a lot of work with clubs on employee culture and recruiting. I personally think that everybody should really be telling their story better and more effectively for recruiting, to really show what it's like to work there. Some clubs don't have a lot of information about the club from an employee standpoint. They have a lot of great information about the customer standpoint. So we sometimes work, I'd say, on the 360-degree view of updating recruiting, making sure that there's a good message being told, looking at the channels to recruit employees. We're watching what other companies are doing. I was just talking with the group earlier. I just saw Taco Bell had a hashtag 85,000, to apply. And that's not something that all clubs are into. So leveraging technology. And then once they hire people, really working through messaging of welcoming them and then get them trained immediately. Our virtual training has a lot of training on there, so people can promote from within through to management as well. And that's, one of the things for recruiting that's at the top of everyone's list is ongoing opportunities to grow and develop. So I think that we can help clubs offer that as well. And honestly, one of the things that we found in our research during COVID, the LinkedIn Jobs Insight, I think it was last year, they said that 66% of all companies across industries would be looking for soft skills. And we used to have the market cornered on soft skills in hospitality and the golf business. So now more people are looking for the exact same people we've always looked for. So we're even in more competition. So through our training, we're also trying to teach more soft skills if someone shows up without them.
Define soft skills for us.
Soft skills are, the personable kind of skills. So, being able to problem solve, positive communication, being engaging, being able to connect with someone in an emotional way, that's really important for service. Being able to empathize with others, these are skills that as the world gets more and more automated and we rely upon technology in a lot of different ways, even through recruiting, even through training, we still have to have the human touch. And as more companies automate more, the more the human touch matters, even exponentially. Yeah. So, we do a lot of, because of our training being hospitality focused, it's all about soft skills in addition to the technical skills.
Well, way back in the prehistoric days when I was involved in golf course management, I was the guy who was writing some of those training programs. And I remember, let's say like a good manager creates in a a great manager steals, and I would just try to get things from like from Disney and from Ritz Carlton and those things. And I still remember sort of warm welcomes, magic moments, fond farewells, those sorts of things.
Yes.
People have to be taught how to do those things.
That's right.
Let me bring in our other guests. Let me bring in Leo and Wayne. Gentlemen, thank you for joining me here today. I'm going to start with you, Leo. You are a recent addition to the golf course owner community. Say congratulations and condolences.
Thank you. Thank you both. Yeah, understood.
So how have you been weathering this this challenge of getting employees? How has RCS helped you in that journey?
Yep. Well, I was going to say that is our answer. RCSU really has been our answer. We took over a club. Club was formed in 1958. We took over in 2017. So we were, kind of a 60-year-old startup, especially when it came to our food and beverage, because they had let the food and beverage operation all but go away. So we really had to build that from scratch. And I don't have any, I'm a kind of a banker by trade. So got into this because I bought a house on the golf course. But so really on both the golf and the food and beverage side, we were starting from a bit of a hole, and realizing very quickly how, especially on the food and beverage side, 90% of our overall on company wide of our employees are under 30 years old. We're in a beach community where 15 minutes from here there are amazing beach jobs in the summer that pay a ton of money, just because it's just tremendous pace. We're on the north side of town. We're off the main drag. We are a semi-private daily fee club. So, getting the right candidate in and trained and in such a way that they would want to stay through some of the seasonality offerings that we have in our area was initially a challenge. And that's when RCSU came in, and we were able to put together that program. And it's now one of the immediately when we hire somebody, we do and then we go right into the culture and then right into the training. And what we found was by having that training, it provides that accountability to a same scorecard across the board. And we've carried that over into the golf side as well. So, because when we think of hospitality, we think of, really it's everybody. It's everybody that touches our customer. So that was the other beauty. And I think one of the initial attractions on the RCSU program is that they already had pre-programmed pro shop courses in there, golf operations type of programs, and then certainly the ability to upload your own videos and such. So now all of our employees are accountable to that same scorecard. And not only did we get hit with COVID, we also got hit with Hurricane Sally real bad. So, when everybody else was not employing, we actually, because we had some of that cross training, our food and beverage personnel were able to go and work on the golf side, and we kept everybody employed. And, and now in the, with this sort of the post-pandemic and such, a lot of our restaurants, whether casual or formal in town, have had to shut down a couple days a week, whatnot. We're gangbusters. We actually, I think our culture is very strong. Believe it or not, we just got nominated to the top 10 companies for best in Pensacola for places to work. So, wow. I have to share that if we get that trophy, even they nominate as a trophy. So Whitney, I'm gonna have to share that with you just to get this far. So thank you.
I don't know where our producers, we get breaking news that Chiron across the screen. That's what
should have been beep.
Going right now. We'll splash screen. We'll do that. No, congratulations. No, seriousness, congratulations. That's quite testament to both your creativity and your resilience in the face of so many challenges. And, that's why I sort of half smile when I say condolences, on the golf course owners thing. It's a difficult road to hoe, although definitely a gratifying one. Wayne, for full disclosure, we know each other. And I would say that if I point that way outside the studio, I won't have to get too far to about 6 minutes away is one of the golf courses that you operate here in Montgomery County, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C. By my reckoning, it is one of the largest public golf course systems in the country, if not the largest.
Right.
It is really a fantastic group of courses. I can testify to that. So you have an operation that in season has hundreds of employees, representing a significant amount of your revenue. I don't want to put words in your mouth, though. How important is that food and beverage, that hospitality segment of your business, and how important is it for you to have the type of training that RCS provides in place to guarantee that you're going to maximize that in the seasonal business?
Yeah, so far it's been very successful for us. This is our first year doing it. And I've been talking with RCSU, I want to say probably over 2 or 3 years, trying to get a program together and just to see how it would work for us. But having 9 golf courses in one market, we ramp up very quickly. And so consequently, we always had to catch up with training. We were constantly chasing training, I guess you could say. In the off season, we have the luxury of taking our top level management and putting them through different management seminars and things like that with the luxury of the off season and having time to do that. But what we found is bringing so many people on so quickly, we generally ramp up and hire somewhere between 300 and 400 people between, let's say the end of February and coming into this time. Right about now is our peak hiring time. A lot of the kids are coming out of college and for the season. And with that being seasonality, that, the programs that we had in place, we had to constantly, like I said, we had to constantly catch up. It was almost like a live training seminar. We would bring X number of people into one of our facilities that's large enough to hold them, or even rent libraries is what we did at some point in the area. But that found to be very cumbersome and taking people away from the operation at busy times. So we have found now with RCSU, we have currently put through about 180 employees, and we're able to segment that out with golf operations and food and beverage operations. Because I feel, the hospitality is very much alive in the golf operations as it is in the food and beverage. The thing with food and beverage is, we know that our customer touches a food and beverage employee 4 times while they're with us, and they only touch a golf operation person once. So we have 4 times to make a good impression, or 4 times to make a bad one. So consequently, we focus a little bit on food and beverage. And what we do with that training is we have picked out certain segments that I have worked with RCSU on, and all of those staff are given this menu, if you will, and we track when they come on. So as soon as they're onboarded, prior to onboarding, as soon as they've accepted the job, we activate their account in RCSU, and they can go into the different modules and work through them. And we can see what each employee is doing, what each employee is working through. And, like I mentioned, we've had 180 people so far log into the system. And those 180 people have gone through almost 600 individual training segments to review and to actually test at the end. They have a fail grade, if you will, but they're learning even though they're failing in some cases. But our passing rate I'm happy to say is 91%. And I have found that when I go to visit the courses now, the employees are actually mentioning things to me that they see in the video. So that's refreshing. And the other thing it has given us is it has given us a single platform over all 9 golf courses. So every employee is seeing the exact same thing, regardless of what golf course they work at. And it was interesting in the beginning, we put all of our general managers through it. And, the initial thought was, the initial comments were, I've been in this business for 30 years. What am I going to learn? And the funny thing was, each individual manager told me that they learned at least one thing that they have not realized before or had forgotten and realized how much more important it is now and stuff. So, I'm looking forward to the second half of our training and getting the bulk of our new hires on. And the other thing that's going to help us with is with the seasonality, we have a lot of the kids going back to school or going back to college in the middle of August. Well, we still have a 3-month golf season left. So consequently, we're hiring, probably another 100 to 120 people in August.
Right.
And
so it's a never-ending process, really, that hiring and retention. That's a never-ending process. When you mentioned something about people, how they respond to you, we just got a couple minutes left, but I don't want to end before going to you, Leo, and letting you give sort of an answer to that question too. As managers, you think it's a good idea. Do your employees think it's a good idea? How do they respond to it?
Absolutely love it. I mean, I know there's probably always one outlier, but I'd say it's high 90% that they all absolutely love it. Just because, again, they know that they are being held to the same, standard as the next person. So it kind of eliminates some of that, even that perception of maybe someone else is getting something that they're not. So no, absolutely. They all love it.
Outstanding. That's good to hear. So when we talk about, I do a lot of work in DEI, and that E stands for equity, would be equitable situations. So that starts with everybody being at the same point, having the opportunity to do as well as each other. Start at the same gate, same finish line, that sort of thing. And I'll therewith endeth the sermon, as Sean Connery, I think, said. Whitney, I'm going to finish with you. Again, you have a couple of real fans here of the idea of training and training with you in particular. And we've seen what's happened before with the pandemic and with technology and how that's helping. We've talked about some of those trends. What's over the horizon for us? Are there any new or different sort of trends or fun things that you're seeing down the road that we'll be talking about?
Well, we have our eye on gamification next, for the younger generation. So gamification. So, there's a lot of training that you can take into the game world. And, people, my belief is when people are having fun and, there's a little bit of healthy competition, they tend to learn a little bit more and want to learn more. So, obviously we're going to expand what we're offering. We're going to be, I'm just sitting here going, you know what, I need to call Wayne because I live not that far from him. And I just need to go out and create like a snack bar training at one of his courses and just upload it and make sure that we have that. So, that we're looking at things like housekeeping, snack bar, some of the fast casual sort of food and beverage operations. And then, yes, so the next big idea, and I just don't want to say too much because it's really in the infancy stages, is, introducing some games. So, yeah. I just, if I can, Michael, I know I just want to thank Leo and Wayne both for their kind comments. And believe me, we're not paying them, but gosh, when you have an idea, and virtual training is an idea I had for probably 10 years before I did it. And I just kind of threw a dart out and said, what do I think would help people? And, to know that it actually is helping people, and even seasoned managers learn 1 or 2 new things or get a refresher. That was my hope and my goal. And I'm just delighted that it's working for you in that way. And it inspires me to want to do more. So thank you for that.
That's amazing. I know that, I feel the respect and the admiration that comes from these gents. That just pours right through the screen for the help that you given them. As I say, as we all know, golf course ownership, management, it's a tough road to hoe. I mean, any advantage you can get to bring a great experience to your customers is appreciated. And I certainly appreciate your time here today. Whitney, Wayne, Leo, thank you so much for joining us here today. And I can't wait to have you back in to talk about success at the end of the season. Yes. Record rounds.
Yes.
Record rounds.
Thank you, Michael.
Beautiful.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
This is all fascinating to me. I mean, again, any advantage you have now with keeping people at your place. I mean, it could be anything from, the gamification, people are talking about Top Tracer, all of these things. For me, I like a place where you can get a burger with a gluten-free bun. It's the little things, that are out there that determine how you're going to do as a course, but there's nothing more important about how your people interact with those people being the customers who come to your place, who are spending their time and money at your place, to honor and respect them with a level of service that shows that gratitude, that shows your appreciation. That's what they're going to talk about. That's what's going to keep them coming back with a person with them again and again and again. So I found this both informative and encouraging, and I hope you did too. That's going to be all for this episode of Golf Business Live. It's a pleasure as always. We see you back here next time for another episode. In between, go out and hit some golf balls, and when you do, hit them straight. Michael Williams, Golf Business Live. We'll see you next time.